So great to see so many people out here. When I was in the 3rd grade on Matticat, we do a tour around the Bay. Many of you who live here your whole life have been on that tour. And I remember the first time I heard of the massacre. And I remember thinking, how could people do that? As a kid, you just don't even understand this kind of thing. And, it really impacted me. And as I've gone on through my life, lots of things have changed and lots of things have moved forward. But that thing never did. When my son started telling the story of the island, he used to be a co-captain on Matticat. He was 10, but he had the story down pat. It really even brought home more to me the need for the return. Did I ever think I would get to be a part of this? No. What a gift this has been for me. And I'm so grateful to Councilmember Arroyo. When we both got elected, we both had this kind of serendipitous moment where Natalie had talked to Ted and I had talked to Cheryl, and we both wanted the same thing. And it was just such a gift to be able to work together through this process over the last 5 years, forever 5 years. And I remember one time I was talking to Ted, and I said to Ted, Tribal Chairman Hernandez, and I said, gosh, this is so frustrating. It's taking so long. And he said to me, Kim, Creator's got this. This will happen when it's supposed to. And I thought, seriously? That's not the answer I want. I want it done 4 years ago. So this is the right thing to do. It absolutely is the right thing to do. It's always been the right thing to do. And I'm grateful that our city sees that and is willing to step forward and make that happen. I'm grateful that we're going to be able to partner with the tribe in ways that we never have before. And we're going to be able to honor them as a nation and work together, which is a real gift. So this, for me, is personal. It's very important. And I'm grateful that we're all doing the right thing. And I'm just thankful so much that all of you are out here. So I guess Creator was right, Ted. Yeah. Good for Creator, right?
I wanted to begin by saying we knew that this day would come.
I'm sorry.
I think that what I love about Native people, and I'm the Department Chair of Native American Studies in Humboldt State, and I've gotten a chance to really get to know so many Native people in the work that I do, and I think that what I realized is, even though the story that was told about us for so long was one about our genocide and all the ways that people attempted to erase us from this land and this place, and that it felt almost final, like what had happened was set. But the more that I read the stories and listened to the people talk, the more I realized that Native people were always making plans for our future, for our next generations. And we never gave up on our land or where we came from. And that's the story I want people to know. Because I know that the story of Tuluwat, which people often refer to as Indian Island, is one of a massacre for most people. But for me, it has always been a place of world renewal. And had never really been just about what had happened there, but what was going to happen and what people knew one day would come back. And there was this beautiful story I got to read in work that was actually done by Humboldt State University and ITEP, Indian Tribal Education Personnel Program, to gather stories from people about Tuluwat. And one that I read was about a woman who, after the massacre, the next day when people came back to the island, she was there and she was stuck in the mud and she was singing. And in that moment, a lot of people might see that as a sad moment, but I saw that as a moment of so much strength and hope for what she could see she needed to do for her people and for her land. And what they say in the story is that she was singing a mourning song. And I thought, how strong do you have to be to have lived through what she lived through, to be stuck in the mud and to look at her people and think, I have to send them off in a good way. I have to be there for them. And she did that, I think, knowing that one day they would come back and be there again so that we could dance there. So I know that our ancestors knew that this day would come. And I think that we need to consider it an opportunity to think about our next steps in the future. Everywhere that I go now, I have to do big talks. And people are always standing up at some point and asking, what can I do? I'm so inspired by what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've taken in by the people that come before me. What can I do? And I have one answer for you now. You need to give all the land back. People like to come up to me after that and ask me a lot of questions about how that works. It's a really long talk. You should come watch it sometime. It's about like an hour of trying to help you see that. But I will say this. At first I was trying to say that look, the least that you could do is just acknowledge that this is Wiyot land. And the least that you could do is start calling it Tuluwat and not Indian Island. And the least that you could do is learn the names and the language of Wiyot people. But I've decided that actually, if you think about all of the things, the least that anybody could do is return the land. And now we know it's possible. We've seen it. We've felt it. We also know that the bottom doesn't fall out of this whole thing if we start giving land back. It's going to be okay. And I also know that it makes for a very powerful moment for everybody else in the room to consider that we are the people that they were thinking about when they were trying to survive, when they fought, when they carried songs on, even though they were told they couldn't sing, when they carried ceremonies forward, even when they were told they couldn't do that, when they made sure we knew how to gather, even when they made it illegal for us to do that. These were the moments that they were thinking about. They said, one day, it will go back. We will be able to do what we need to do to keep this world in balance. And what I love is how many people in here are here because they support this moment. And what I also love is that I know that we can envision together a future, a radical future, a future that actually makes sense, a future with no dams, a future with salmon that is healthy, a future with our children that are singing, a future where we're dancing all of the time. And I know we've seen it, and I know we've felt it, so I look forward to how amazing that is going to be. And I am tasking all of you with that now. This is your job now. And I know that we can do it. And I'm really looking forward to all the ways that everybody in this room is going to make sure that that happens. Thank you.
Really humbling to be able to be up here and even say just a few words to such an amazing gathering. And I just really want to acknowledge the Wiyot tribal leadership up here, Chairman Hernandez, and City Council of Eureka, Mayor Seaman, and I thank you very much for allowing me to say a few words. So I'm here today and truly honored to be here representing Congressman Jared Huffman. The Congressman's in Washington, D.C. today. Deeply regrets that he can't be here, but he sends his regards to the Wiyot tribe and the city of Eureka on this memorable day. The Wiyot tribe suffered greatly during the expansion of settler colonialism in this region, especially here on Tuluwat. The realities of this history are still with us today. For many decades, the tribe has fought for acknowledgement of its loss on Tuluwat. But in the early 2000s, faced with that dark history, the city of Eureka decided to confront this history instead of ignore it. That has brought us here today, as the city returns Tuluwat to the Wiyot tribe as part of the amends that should be made. This celebration has truly historic implications. It is an amazing moment that shows how communities can heal. And for me personally, This makes me proud to be a Eurekan. Congressman Muttman has submitted remarks into the congressional record memorializing this day, and I'll read just the last bit of it as I present this to the tribe and the city. Madam Speaker, the repatriation of Tuluwat from the city of Eureka to the Wiyot tribe has profound importance to the Wiyot people, whose ancestors suffered greatly during the early white settlement of the region. I urge my colleagues to join me in recognizing this historic agreement that continues to try to heal the harms of the past. Thank you very much.
In November of 2018, when the Eureka City Council first voted to return Tuluwat land to the Wiyot tribe, I wasn't on the council. I wasn't involved with the discussions about how to begin moving a process like this forward. I was a Eureka resident who, at that moment that the decision was made, had a swell of pride for the leaders of my community like I'd never experienced before. I am honored beyond words to be here today to finalize the transfer of land, but not without immense gratitude for all of those who identified this as a priority and successfully moved it forward. Since the early 2000s, steps have been taken by both the Wiyot tribe and the city of Eureka to move in the direction of returning Tuluwat land, and each step helped cultivate an idea that a return was possible. I'm happy to see Mayor Frank Jager here, as well as others who have been involved in some of the early steps towards this ultimate goal. They, along with our current city council and city councils who worked on this in the past, deserve recognition for their efforts towards this end. I'd like to give special acknowledgement to council members Arroyo, Bergel, and Mayor Jager, who each identified and followed their own paths to make amends to the egregious behavior that led to this decision needing to be made in the first place. Additionally, city staff across the board worked hard and with great pride to learn how to make the gears turn on this unprecedented project. Turns out that you need more than good intentions to do something as seemingly simple as return land to the original owners. We had staff, attorneys, and the local title company venturing into new legal terrain. I'm especially pleased that City Manager Greg Sparks is here to see the transfer come to fruition. It's a pretty wonderful note on which to close a successful tenure and retire. To our Wiyot friends, we return Tuluwat land to you today without hesitation and without conditions posed by the city. Woo! It is being done with the sincerest respect for you, recognizing your reverence for your sacred land and the endurance you have shown as you await its return. For 1,000 years, this land was a place of celebration for you, and about 160 years ago that changed. Your land was not only desecrated in the cultural sense, but in the environmental sense as well. As a country, we often talk about learning from the past, but sometimes that's not enough. Healing doesn't come from simply knowing better than to make the same mistakes. Returning Tuluwat land does not erase the pain that your people have suffered. It is a milestone in a complicated relationship with people who live in this region. This is simply a moment in time representing a long, long history of your people. It is a moment that is both solemn as well as celebratory. We hope this is a moment that moves us into the future, forging strong bonds and building a healthier community for everyone. This is your day, and I am humbled to be here to share it with you. Thank you.
Before I read this letter that I wrote a number of years ago, I'd just like to challenge the current city council for another task that I thought that would be very fitting to honor the Wiyot tribe and what happened on the island. And that is to set aside February 26th and lower the flags in the city of Eureka and hopefully the county of Humboldt to half-staff as in memory of all those people that perished on that island on that day. So that's it about that. Okay, this is a letter of apology to the Wiyot tribe for what happened over the island. Dear members of the Wiyot tribe, in February 1860, 154 years ago, of course I wrote this letter a few years back, citizens of Eureka participated in what has been described as a massacre of unfathomable proportions. On that winter night long ago, the Wiyot people of Humboldt Bay were attacked. That incident resulted in the death and scores of mostly women and children on the tribal island in Humboldt Bay. Worse yet, this attack occurred during the Wiyot renewal ceremony to bring healing to the earth. The ceremony was never finished. Today, the people of Eureka are pleased to see the world renewal ceremony that was cut short in 1860 will finally be finished. The ceremony will take place on the island and the land deeded to the Wiyot people in 2004. As a former mayor of Eureka and on behalf of the City Council and the people of Eureka, we would like to offer a formal apology to the Wiyot people for the actions of our people in 1860. Nothing that we say or do can make up for what occurred on that night. It will forever be a scar on our history. We can, however, with the present and future actions of support for the Wiyot people, work to remove the prejudice and bigotry that still exists in our society today. And that's signed Frank Jager, Mayor of Eureka, and dated 2014.
So we come from Wiyot area here, but we come from the world renewal religion. That's what the anthropologists call us. Creator gave us this job. And as an elder, and to convey this story, is that this is how we're all involved in this together. The Hopi people said that when times are bad, the white man, the yellow man, the black man, and the red man would come together and become the rainbow people. And so we're in this time of the Hopi prophecy. We're coming together, and in a good way. But I went to see, I walk our rock and roll gentleman, and there my lady says, Jene, I have a story. And can I tell you? I said, yeah, tell me. So she was talking about Chopek up on the coast, Stone Lagoon. And she says, you know that rock formation over there where the dancers go? That's the jump dance. We balance the world between good and evil. I said, yeah, I know that place. I said, they put me in my manual wheelchair, took me in a boat, crossed over to the dance ground. I've been there. I said, I know where that Chopek is. And she says, you know what? She says, up on top of that rock, the dancers were there. And below the dance, below that rock. I said, yeah, I know where that is. And she said there was a row of spirits on top there, and they were looking down below, behind the dancers. Then there was a second row of spirits, and then they were looking across the fire at the audience. And then she said there was a third row of dancers, of spirits up there, and they were looking out beyond the audience, out over the lagoon. And I looked around, and she said, I didn't see nothing. So when the dance started, the spirits behind her started singing. She turned around. She says, Jene, I seen 1,000 dancers, 1,000 spirits. They were singing. So this is the 203rd time I've told this story. And So the 19th time I was telling this story to my niece in my house, and I got to thinking, those spirits that were behind the audience in this time, in the present, were the spirits who were coming after us. So we stand in the middle of those who've gone on before us and those who are coming after us. And when we talk about that ceremony that interrupted, this is the continuum. And this is the job Creator gave us, our tribal people in extreme Northwest California. And so I share this song, and the Yurok words is, I walk, I'm feeling sorry. Ne wain chokes for my women folk. And then it's Old English like woe, like woe's me when you're feeling sad. And the English word hate. Hate, woe. So this is the song. I walk ne wing chokes. I walk ne wing chokes. I walk ne wing chokes. Hate, 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 woe. Hate, 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 woe. Hate, 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 woe. I walk ne wing chokes. I walk ne wing chokes. I walk ne wing chokes. Hate, 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 woe. Hate, 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 woe. Hate, 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 woe. I walk ne wing chokes. I walk ne wing chokes. I walk ne wing chokes. Hate, 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 woe. Hate, hate, hate.